I'm working on redoing old videos. So I'm going to be remaking some of the ones that I had done earlier, last year, to try to get them where they will be easier to see, um, in the group now. So some of you may have seen some of the information that's going to be in those, before, and that's fine. Um, I'm trying to just get them better organized for the new members of the group and that kind of thing, and make it easier for everybody to find things, hopefully. Um, if I can get these going. Okay. So, if it's stuff you already know, ignore it. I'm going to be um, working while I'm doing that, hopefully. Um, this video is going to be a little bit just to tell you about me for those that are new in the group, and how I got started. I started my company, S&K Beads and Charms, and S&K Hand Stamp Designs, when my daughter was in 7th grade. She wanted a Pandora bracelet, and they're extremely expensive. And a lot of people don't realize that Pandora is a European charm bracelets. Troll Bead was the actual first ones that did those. Pandora come along after, but they become a more popular name because they advertise more, basically. There's many companies that sell these charms that are all basically the same. And I found that I could purchase them wholesale with a wholesale license and get the exact same basic charms. I mean, everyone's a little bit different, but I could have them manufactured and get the same charms. They're each company's is slightly different, but it can be the same animal or same whatever. And I could get the sterling silver ones and the bracelets and sell them for about half of what Pandora was. So I ended up purchasing for her and some of her friends for Christmas. And then it kind of became a little business with people wanting to buy the bracelets. And so I got into selling the bracelets. How well you can see them. There we go. And the charms and the beads. And I learned all about the quality of the charms and the difference in the beads. It's what's a solid core and what's a single core. And if it was double core beads, and what the difference in the quality and the price was. And so I offered a variety of those, and started doing home parties with those. And it became kind of popular. And I got talked into doing some local events. And from there, got invited to several local events and was doing very well with that. And I wanted to get where I could do more custom charms for customers that wanted names and things on there. So I was trying to figure out a way to do that. And my niece had a baby or had twins, and somebody had sent her a necklace that was stamped with their names and stuff on it. And I thought, oh, wonder if that's a way I can do it. So I got to checking it on it, and that's how I started stamping. Was to do the bracelet charms that were personalized and custom. And I purchased a little, set of letters and the blocks and researched what I needed and started doing bracelet charms. And then was going to have my niece and my daughter do the larger charms for necklaces and things and add that to our line of jewelry. And it ended up with my daughter in school that she didn't have the time to do as much. And my niece just, didn't do anything with it much. But so I started stamping, and I became the main stamper in the group, and started doing it. And my business really picked up with that. The first time that we went out and did a stamped anything at a show, we did a little local thing that was free to set up at the college that my husband works at, that was for teachers. And my daughter was doing the stamping. I had a lady that worked with me that was taking care of the charms, and I was helping put the stamp jewelry together. And we did $400 worth of stamp jewelry that day. And I thought, this is really could be where we need to be moving because the charms are still popular, but they're not as popular as they were. Uh, kind of fallen off. And I have about, I don't know, I probably still have, and I've been selling off my stock. I don't have many bracelets left, and I don't have many rings left, but I do have quite a few charms. And I had thousands of charms here, and I still have several hundred charms, and I have some that only have one of a kind, and some that I have several of the same style. So I've been marking them down, trying to get rid of them. Basically, I'm tired of having them at my house because my stamps taken off so much. But we decided to move forward and do more stamping, and I gradually had the time to practice more and started doing it. The way I got started on Etsy was I had done the local events and did a little local show, and some friends of mine, and I'm sorry, my daughter sent me a message. So at the local show that we were doing, I was at a little place called the Brick Village, and there were a lot of other, maybe 5 or 6 of us other vendors there. And this place has a storefronts inside. The guy that owned the building sold brick for building houses and things. And he took the inside of the warehouse and turned it into little storefronts. And they had the different types of brick. Each one was different, so you could see what the brick would look like on your house. And so they called it the Brick Village because it looked like little townhouses in there. And they rented out the spaces. So we had an opportunity to rent one of the spaces. Hey, Sonia, for $500 a month. So that is how I started my first storefront. Was several of us kept talking while we were at the event. I'm like, we always have people wanting to know where can they find us local to buy stuff, and it would be great if we had a place that they could just go to get it instead of having to look us at local events. So we come up with the idea that one of us would, be in charge and rent the thing. And I wasn't working full time. My boss, from where I worked 27 years as a dental assistant, had to retire with medical issues. And so after 27 years, I decided to retire too. And my dog's having a fit for some reason. And I was able to be the one to go in the store, me and another lady, to work it full time, where some of the rest of them worked full-time jobs. So since I had retired, I was on unemployment from that job because he closed the business, and I hadn't found another job. And I was really trying to focus on my jewelry business and get that going full-time while I was collecting my unemployment, because I wanted to be where I didn't have to go back to work in a dental office after being there so many years. So that kind of just all fell into place and worked out. We rented the location. There was about 30 of us that went in, and we all each were paying a certain amount of money a month to rent the space. Like, I rented out spaces to other vendors for $25 or $30, depending on the size space in our little 2-room shop. And that's how we paid the rent. And it grew, and we got a bigger shop the next year that had about 70 vendors. And then we were there for a year and a half. And then we grew into another larger store later that was very huge. And I'll post some pictures of those for y'all. And stayed there a year. Well, yeah, I was in charge of it for a year. First, we were on weekends because it was a weekend flea marketplace. And then I turned it into a full-time open everyday shop that had about 100 and something vendors in that store. And each one, you could come in and work your own space, or we would sell your stuff for you. And that worked well, but it was extremely expensive. The upkeep on it was, and the building cost it was like $5,500 a month with the utilities. And the lady that helped me run it was unable to continue when her husband got sick. And then when I broke my foot, I really couldn't continue to run it by myself. It was too much stress on me. And I wasn't making that much money in the store selling just my items. And I decided to give it back to the idiot I got it from, because it was a debt hole basically, and come back home to work. and I've been working at home ever since. I do miss the shop sometimes, but it's much better for me to be at home. So now I'm home, homeschooling my son and working full-time on my Etsy business. I started on the Etsy store during that time frame when a customer suggested that I open an Etsy shop with my stamp stuff because it would sell. So I started looking into it during the first year that I was opening the small shop. And I opened it, and that was kind of how I just used the shop as an office, and my sales were mostly coming online. So the first year I had no clue. I was just as clueless as I could possibly be. Threw up some pictures of some items that I had made. Didn't have a clue how to take pictures, whatever, how to do a title. Didn't even know the tags were supposed to be down at the bottom or how to do that. I didn't know how to fill any of that out, really. I was putting up pictures and a little listing of a necklace with kids' names on it and a half title, description, and that's how it went. And I got the shop officially open about October of that year. Didn't sell anything for the first little bit because I only had like 5-10 listings, and I put stuff up and I'm like, this is never going to work. So I kept seeing in a group I was in, you need to have more listings. So I kept trying to add more listings, and I got up to about 50 right before Christmas. Well, what happened was, even as clueless as I was, other shops quit taking orders the end of November because they had so many, they were never going to be able to get them done by Christmas. So it just happened. I was able to get about 30 to 40 orders for Christmas that year, simply because I was taking orders and nobody else wasn't. So I made some decent money, and it kind of got me excited. And I thought, well, maybe I can do this. And I kept watching in groups and heard, you need to get like around 200 listings. So I made a goal to, as I was making things for locals, I'd get an order, 1 or 2 a month on Etsy, and I kept adding listings. My goal was to get to 200 listings before the next Christmas. So any and everything I could make and think of, we took photos of and listed them to get to 200 listings. One of the last things I listed was I Love You Bushel and a Peck necklace that year, just to get my goal of 200. My mom suggested it, so I threw it up and didn't care if it sold. That ended up being my highest selling item that year. I made about 300 of those for Christmas, to the point I was sick of them and I was throwing them out the door. At that time, the second Christmas, we had moved to our second location, and I was working day and night in there, pulling from 8 a.m. until 1 o'clock at night, doing Christmas orders. I had then at that time learned a little more about how to do your tag, and I figured out I needed to put hand stamp jewelry in every title, and I did that. And then I figured out more about the descriptions, and that I needed to add tags at the bottom. Now, I added tags. I didn't do all 13. I had about 5 or 10. But it was enough to improve my shop and get me more sales for Christmas. So I had a really good Christmas that year and did around $3,000 worth, maybe something like that. Between 2 and 3. But I still wasn't getting as many sales as a lot of the other sellers were. And I was getting large orders for groups. So that helped me a lot because I was able to take those large orders where other people weren't. After that year and that Christmas of doing so well, I made a point to learn how to try to figure out what the other sellers were doing and to get seen even better. I wanted to get to that point where some of those that are getting 20 orders a day or more. And so I was trying to figure out how they did it. I started doing my research of looking at other shops. I'd never heard of Etsy Rank at that point. By then, I was moved into that third shop that we had, and I spent my day trying to run the shop and had an office there so I could work on my Etsy store completely full-time, and really started focusing on getting that title right and learning what key phrases other sellers had in their titles. And I had noticed that they had the little titles with the commas, and it was you know, hand stamped jewelry, custom jewelry, you know, with all the tags, like everybody's done it for years. And I always thought it was stupid, but it was working for them. So I decided to try it. And that's what I did. And it started increasing sales. And I started getting monthly sales and daily sales. And it kept increasing. And I had hit my 250 listings. And I figured out that the searches were 250 pages. And if I had 250 listings, I had a better shot of having one on each page of the listing search. And I was trying to use as many keywords as I could in those titles and the tags. And I figured out, well, I need to fill up all 13 tags. I heard people saying that, so I did that. And I started really looking at what the other sellers were using and researching it. Then I heard of Etsy Rank. And that's been about 2 years now. But yeah, I've been on there for 7 years. So it took me a good 3 years to even get going good enough to figure out what I needed to learn. And do all this research. So I spent the last 3 years researching it, learning it, perfecting how to fix the titles and what I needed to do. And once I found Etsy Rank, it really helped me a lot. But if you've not used Etsy Rank much, you have to learn it. And then it's been changed in the last year where he updated it for the way Etsy's saying make your title more readable. So that's been a learning curve for everybody just recently. So I'm going to focus in this group on trying to help y'all learn that too. But you know, when I started using that and figuring out what other sellers that were top sellers were doing, I learned how to tell if they were getting organic search or if they're pulling from social media. Because some of them, their titles look like terrible, but I could figure it out and told that they had a really good Facebook page and a good following, and maybe Pinterest and different things, and that's where their sales are coming from. So when you're looking at other shops, you have to learn to figure out, okay, are they getting organic search or are they getting found from social media sources, so that you don't get discouraged thinking, why am I not showing up? Well, it's because they're doing it a different way than you are. You have to learn a combination of ways to do it to help you. So I learned those keywords that they were doing and started implementing all that. And I've become very apt at being able to look at things and figure out that I figured out that you have to put in your title what a customer searches for in order to get found. If you don't have that in the title, you're not getting found. And I've become very good at looking at that, and I've learned how to ask people, you know, how would you search for that? That's kind of how I got where I am now. It's just simply by trial and error, and the fact that I put a lot of work into it. I went from having 30 sales the first year to almost 4,000 sales today. I think I like 6 more having 4,000 on my shop. Over half of that has been within the last 2.5 years, because of all the changes and the work that I've done to get my shop where it needed to be. My goal with this group is to help other people. I had no one to help me. I had nobody to tell me what was right and what was wrong, or what I needed to look for, or what I needed to do. And my goal with the group is to help everybody figure out how to do it. I started teaching classes in my shop to the other handmade sellers of how they could open their Etsy shops and how to get their stuff going and what they needed to do, filling out your about page and those kinds of things that nobody tells you. You have to randomly figure out, or sit down and read the Etsy handbook, and then you still don't understand it. My goal for the class is to help everyone learn what they need to learn to make their shop successful. I started the group as a free group to do that, because I didn't get the help, and it was frustrating. And I had people come and ask me, you know, how are you doing that? And I tried to help them. And the more I tried to help people, they would come back to me how much help it had been and how much they had improved. And I eventually was talking into starting a group like this to try to help others. So I started it completely free. The help in this group that you're in now is completely free. I tried to do the videos to help you follow along with that and get you easy access and show you how to do things. It's easier to show somebody how to do it than to tell them sometimes. So if you can see in the video how to do it and learn how to do it for yourself, I have people ask me all the time to go in and fix their shop. My theory is it's better for you to learn how to do it on your own than for me to go in and fix it for you. I can help you, I can teach you how to fix it. But if something changes on Etsy and you have to make changes next year, you don't want to have to pay somebody again to change it for you every year. So it's better if you learn how to do it yourself so that you can take control, because you know your own business and you know your products better than somebody else does. There's too many people come to me that have paid thousands and thousands of dollars for help, and somebody goes in and fixes their shop and it really didn't help, or it worked for all of 15 minutes and then they had to rechange it, and it's like, I'm going to have to pay them all this money again to go back and fix things. I don't think you should have to do that. You need to learn how to do it so that if something changes on Etsy, or you decide to change products or whatever, you can fix it for yourself. Every time you put up new listings, you don't need to pay somebody to do it for you. You need to know how to do it yourself. So that's the goal of this group. And I hope it's helpful to everybody. I have this year started the paid class that will have 25 people per class to do more one-on-one individual work with, that will go from the ground up of how you've got your listing, your shop set up, and how to pick the keywords, how to use Etsy Rank, how to do the things you need to do so that you are very apt at doing it for yourself. I have kept the price as low as possible. I've started at $100. I do have smaller little things on my Etsy page, like the shop reviews and things like that. That's small help and one-on-one paid consultations. But this group is just for a class that goes from start to finish. That's in a smaller group setting. So I hope that helps to, a little bit about me, how I started, and kind of where I come from, and how this group got started was just basically for me helping other people and asking me to start a group so I could help more people, to give you information you don't get. Some of the people that do coaching, I have found some of them are legitimate. There's 3 or 4 that are really good that I like, and I'm even in their groups so I can learn. But there's some of them that don't even have an Etsy shop, and to show you that they know what they're doing. My thought on that is that if they can't show you their shop and that they've had good sales, then why do you want to pay them $1,000 to teach you how to do it when they can't prove they did it? And that's how some of those sellers are. They have a little Etsy shop and they may have a few things on it, but you could tell they've sold nothing but help. Or they've never had an Etsy shop, or their shop only sells help. So they can't prove to me they know what they're doing because they have no proof of it. They've done it. They can't show you that they made sales. So I don't recommend paying these people. And I've had plenty of people come to me that did pay these kind of people and regret it. So I want to make sure that people are getting, if they're going to pay for something, they're going to get something out of it. They're going to learn how to do it. That's my 2 things is don't pay somebody to go in and fix your shop because it's dangerous in multiple ways. And you may end up with a mess because I've seen it happen. And that you should learn to do it yourself. So that's the goal of this class. That's how I got started. I don't know if this video turned out as informative as my other one for the group did because kind of got lost track. But this is kind of my update for the old video that I had. But this is my office. It's a disaster since Christmas. That I just moved into this office this year. My husband helped me. He's very supportive, and he helped me get me a nice office going so I can work from home. And I'm home schooling my son. So I'm home during the day. If you have questions, message them to me, and I'll get to them as I can. I'm going to sign off now. And I may post another video on the basics of how to start a class later. I've got to get a couple of orders done that I have had come in since Christmas. And I'm going to get to work on that. Y'all have a good day.